All right.
Awesome. Finally.
Hello and welcome to the Amateur Hour Podcast, the official podcast of Amateur Mastermind Productions. Every week, three young creatives get together to talk about whatever it is young creatives talk about. I'm one of your hosts and the red light of the group, Mike Messina. To my right, we have Richard Chow, or the green light of the group.
Sure, but I'm drinking up a yellow cup, so sorry.
That's true. Oh, we didn't.
No, it's okay. It's
We
fine.
didn't coordinate.
I got the blue light right here, so
Whatever the blue light means. Oh no, blue light means it's
Yeah,
hellblind.
yeah,
It's
I know.
hellblind. Whoops, my bad.
yeah.
There you go. To my left,
Wait, what?
we have
No.
the 1, 2, 3 of the group, Darren Tunn.
Hi.
That was so
Nice.
sad.
Good start.
Wait, dude, what was the blue light?
The blue light's the helpline.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Like at college, yeah.
Yeah.
Watch when we put these glasses down too, because there's no
yeah,
protection.
we're gonna have to be really
Table.
careful with
Only
this.
for
We're gonna
Mike.
be like,
Oh yeah, mine's the only mic that's on the
Yeah.
freaking.
I'm gonna have to get a coaster just for Mike.
Oh,
just for me.
yeah.
Just for me. Yeah, so welcome to the podcast. I wanted to start off. We'll give some quick updates. I know we had some developments regarding the rally video that we made. We recorded pretty much a little documentary about an anti-Asian hate crime rally that we did at our university at Binghamton, and then it got some leverage once it got
Some good
put out there.
traction. Yeah. So
It's good traction.
I think we first put out. I first put out that trailer on my personal Instagram before we released the full film, and that trailer was like 30 seconds or so, and then that started to gain a lot of traction. And then I remember sharing it to like the Jackfruit guys and the Asians with Attitudes guys. Those are two Instagram pages for I guess Asian media, you'd say. I shared it with a whole bunch, but those are the two that ended up responding to me. And that night, went to sleep, and then I woke up, and they were like, I got DMs from both, and then they were both like, yeah, bet, all right, we shared it or whatever. And then the video just like exploded. And I think right now it's like at like 22K on their thing, and then like 16K on mine. And then we released the full film on Amateur Mastermind, and that also got a lot of traction because of that. So yeah, all three of those channels.
Yeah, it was
For
really
sure.
good. I feel like for any young Asian person right now, especially, Jackfruit's a pretty big deal. Like you've heard of that Instagram page or that
Oh, yeah.
social media page.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was really cool to see, and I think very surprising to some degree. I was like watching it over when Darren first posted it. I was like low key tearing up again, just because like there's a lot of emotion during that time. So it was it was really cool to kind of just see it all over again, kind of replay it. It's like going back in history.
That was a lot of work, that whole thing too.
Yeah, it was so much
Yeah.
work. I remember
Emotions and stuff.
staying in the office with Mike and like the whole ASU team, and just being there. Honestly though, it was like
Being
even
there,
just
yeah.
being there was like super I would say inspirational, and also very invigorating, and it really allowed me to get like a deeper glimpse into like just like how like difficult and how much work and effort had to be put into the whole process for it to even just happen, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Just knowing Mike's work ethic and everyone else there, I can assume that they probably, I guess, put their health on the line to
Low key.
to make
Our GPA
stuff
is on the
happen.
line,
Yeah.
certainly,
No,
yeah.
definitely. No, more than GPA's health. Yeah.
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 Yeah, there were a lot of
Yeah.
all-nighters for making that happen. But the documentary, or I guess documenting process, was also
Yeah.
a lot of work, and that was also crucial, making sure that everything that we did was documented and could then live on later on. And there's still some more video production and editing and stuff that we could probably do in terms of
Yeah.
putting
But-
some more content about that out.
Yeah, it's very, very important to have that documented. And like, I start to realize that even more and more now, because, the video wasn't just shared within the Binghamton community with people that were already, going to the rally and stuff like that. It was shared with like people outside the Binghamton community, the Jackfruit community, the Agents with Attitude community. That's including like California. That's including like the rest of the agents in New York City, so just for them to at least see like what we're doing at Binghamton might kind of like inspire, them to do stuff on their own and, really push it.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
it works
yeah.
the other way, where we see people from wherever in the world, not even just in the United States, but from across the globe, and that'll impact us, and that'll inspire us or motivate us or inform what we're doing in a certain way.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
seen it happen countless times. Happens every day.
Yeah, completely
yeah.
agree with that. I think it's like it's one of those things where it's not just we can't just draw attention to it now, where the news is reporting upon it. Like there's crimes against the AAPI community. Was what was so crazy to me. I think when I initially mentioned it to even like my parents, right? Because they've immigrated here. They've lived through some I think like the crazier times. Because to some degree, like they said, we have it easier. Although there are crimes, it's not like it's just beginning, which makes it that much more impactful. I know Mike in his speech in the video kind of spoke about what happened, years ago, and like how it was so interesting that they used a baseball bat.
Yeah. And The Walking Dead, Glenn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's crazy is it's true. Like it's not like it's just begun, and it's not like it's done. Like it's still happening, and it's just important to kind of draw attention to it, not purely because we want attention, but more so that we can actually change society from the inside out. I think it's the more important thing.
I freaking love when people say, "Oh, it wasn't." You guys don't know how good you have it. I don't really like.
Yeah.
Does that mean you stop trying to make it better? Does that mean you ignore something that's coming from the same place of malice? Like, who the hell cares if it was better now or who had it worse when? Like, just make it better. Keep moving forward. You know, freaking stop because it's a little bit better than it was before, or even a lot better. Yeah, there's
a little
some people
section
sounding off in the comments of that jackfruit video. People, kids these days, they don't know how good they have it. Blah, 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 blah. Back in my day, hey, I was like literally attacked or whatever. I'm like, good for you. I'm glad you're telling me in the comments of an Instagram section. You're being very productive here.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, that is exactly the kind of thing that we're like, everyone has their opinion on terms like microaggressions or whatever. But we were not up there doing this rally, documenting this rally because we felt insulted by microaggressions. Exactly. Like that was part of the discussion, but we are there because there was a year, and at this point, like 2 years and counting of hate crimes, of elderly people being literally lit on fire and shot at. And this dumbass guy is coming up saying, "Oh, you're talking about friggin' comments of people." Like, no, you're this dumbass, the dude who's making the comments. We're out here putting ourselves on the line to try to help people who are being victimized the same way that this dude is saying he was victimized, and then he's out here friggin' running his mouth.
Yeah.
Again, you have to be very, very careful how much energy you give to those people, how much attention you waste on it. But once in a while,
gave what we could,
Yeah, like it's a public platform. We're putting ourselves, and I felt like that was really my baby in terms of being part of the production team for it, also part of the planning team for it. So someone mouthing off like that again on a platform as big as Jackfruit, like you gotta fire back a little bit. Gotta call them out sometimes.
It improved the engagement of the video a little bit more.
I
mean, that's the thing, right? I first saw it and I was like, oh man, we gotta report this dude or whatever, cancel this guy. And then I was like, you know what? Actually, like, it might be like good publicity and stuff like that, because people that come onto the video and see that and then they feel an opposite way and then they see that comment, they're gonna jump on too and talk about, the opposing side along with you, if that's what they feel, right? And people did, eventually jump on and talk about the opposing side and join Mike in that sort of comment war that we had there. But I originally was going to be report and whatever, but it turned out to be like, okay, we're starting a dialogue here, so there's a little bit more context in the comment section. Also, Jackfruit liked his comments about.
So we won, baby. That's it. It's closed.
Yeah. I think it's also important too. And from another angle too, like leaving his comment there, acknowledging that there are opposite thoughts, because it's important that we don't just cancel it and brush it under the rug and say this doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because once we start doing that, although we don't want to give energy to those type of comments, we also need to acknowledge that those thoughts exist. Because not acknowledging it would just allow it to perpetuate in the dark.
No, I was just like, when are we gonna get our first hater? Because everything just seemed too nice.
Yeah, it seemed too good to be true.
Too great, and everyone was like, "Great job! Wow, so inspirational! This is amazing!" And then finally, you got the guy who's like, stupid, stupid kids and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, great, first hater, man."
It doesn't make sense to me. From a standpoint where I'm like kind of what you were saying before, where it's congrats, you've survived through a more violent time. And it's the same thing with what my parents said too. I'm not saying what you went through was good or bad. What you went through was not necessary, to be honest. But it's less so about what was and more so about what should be. I think like is the more important thing to kind of keep your eyes on, because if you just keep saying like, yeah, well, like it was worse in the past, now it's better now. I'm not disagreeing with you, and I don't think that it's not necessary to champion those things that got better. But I think what's like you said, what's more important too, like, well, how can we move even further past it? Like, how can we develop to the point where our society can coexist like together? Like, I think I saw this little clip where Bruce Lee literally said, someone asked him, and I think when I watched it initially, I was like, wow, like that's kind of a messed up comment. But his response was just so like perfect to me. Like the guy, I think the interviewer or like the TV personality said, huh?
Was it like the white dude?
Yeah, the white guy. He said, he was like, oh, like, do you consider yourself like Chinese or like from North America? And he's like, well, I consider myself what we all are, human. And I was like, yo, like, that's it. That's
So that's when the interviewer tries to trap you.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
It was like that. I remember Keanu Reeves was on a talk show once, and they were like, "What do you think happens when we die?" And trying to get into like some sort
I
of
know what you're talking
right,
about.
some sort of like religious conversation. And he's like, "Well, I think when we die, the ones who love us will miss us." And then that was it. And then he was just like, "Great, wow." Dodge the question, but it was
that's
very
not an answer
amazing,
ever.
yeah.
But like we love Keanu, so we can go pass. Yeah, there's this. I forget which Bruce Lee biofilm it was, but it was it was like an actual movie based on his life, and this dude was like bullying him and talking about how you're an Asian dude. My father died in the Korean War because of your people. And then after Bruce Lee like beats him up or whatever in a nice way, his line is, I'm sorry about your dad, but I'm not Korean. And you think he's gonna say I'm Chinese, but instead he's like, I'm American. And you're like, wow, how patriotic. What a subversion of the line.
Yeah, even in the face of hate from like genuinely like fellow Americans, like you could say it that way, like he's just like, yeah, but like, that's not it. Like that's not it. Yeah.
It is crazy to me when you'll have discussions sometimes where people are like, "Oh, the first time the phrase Asian American was used," and you're like, "It seems like such a no-brainer. Like someone had to coin that phrase, but it's true. Like Asian-American did not always exist as a phrase. It wasn't so logical or such common sense in the sense that we think of it now, where just an adjective with a hyphen plus the word American. Like you could use that with almost any adjective. But
yeah, absolutely.
Someone had to think through that and establish that into the conversation. So that we definitely did come a long way, back to your point about, past experiences from other people and stuff, but definitely still more to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can we come to a point where we can just call everyone a human rather than I'm like, different from you, therefore I'm superior to you. And like, it's just stupid. It's just really stupid. Yeah.
A lot of stupid.
Yeah, because like the guy in the comments was also making the case. I think he was trying to say, or I forgot. Everything's getting muddled now. Where it's like, well, like Asians are the most well off or something. I don't think it was the guy in the comments. I think someone made that. Yeah, I think someone made
this dude was like,
yeah, yeah. But then I'm also like, dude, like Asians make up because we've been categorized into such a big umbrella. Like there's like Southeast Asians. There's like like Southern Asians, so like the Indian population, Desi population, and then there's like Eastern Asian, but then even within Eastern Asian, there's like separate groups, and there's different ethnicities, and then like what's crazy is like, well, we make up half the world's population, like our umbrella makes up half the world's population, and it's just like, yeah, I don't think that's fair either. Like I genuinely don't think that's fair either. Like when we're half the world's population, but we're represented by one word, Asian, to some degree, right? Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like strength and unity in a lot of people coming together.
Yeah.
For one, cause or one idea or just one conversation or whatever. But then you're right. Everyone
you get grouped into.
Yeah, you get grouped in, and then the statistics show that like the however many people are successful. And I'm like, yeah. Then when you add all the people in and you do it by a percentage, where the most like the Asian population is the highest in poverty. And also the highest in riches. So of course, it's like there's the most people.
It's weird because it allows them to play around with the statistics a little bit more in that regard, just like twist it.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. So people are like, "Oh man, science doesn't lie, numbers don't lie." I'm like, have you ever heard of anyone skewing statistics ever? Like
Yeah,
everyone
all the
just
time.
thinks
Literally all the
okay, so
time.
the numbers lie all the time, or the
Yeah.
numbers don't lie,
Yeah.
but like you can twist them so easily.
You just have to look deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you could, and that's the thing too. When people are like, "Oh, you know, I did my own homework," I'm like, "Did you do your own homework, or did you listen to people who you think did homework? Did you read the COVID studies? Did you read these sociology papers? No, you didn't. I'm not
Oh
saying
my
you
gosh.
should, but like, if you're running your mouth off saying that you did your own homework, make sure
Yeah.
you did your own homework. Because I've had to sit through those STEM papers or those, you know, physics or chemistry or political science papers. That's a lot. That's work. That is difficult to do.
Yeah, that's so funny. The dude in the comments was like, "What do you know? What do you know about?" I was just like, "Mike, I wish you tell him what you knew."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like I know I'm diverging from the topic a little bit, but you just like mentioned like COVID, and it like irks me sometimes when I think about it. And again, like I think everyone does need to do their do their own research and find out how comfortable they are, obviously with the vaccine and stuff. But what's like super confusing to me is like there are a lot of people who don't want to get the vaccine because they think it's very experimental and very unsafe, right? I get it. I can understand that you don't understand it, right? And so for you to learn about it would be the best step, right? Before you just like rush into it and be like, I'm just gonna get it because everyone else is telling me to. And I can understand that like personal choice and personal freedom. What I can't understand is when they say they don't want that, they get COVID because they're too stubborn to get the vaccine, or they haven't done the research to find out more about the vaccine. And then they go to the hospital and then they're like, yeah, give me whatever you can. And a lot of those other drugs are genuinely experimental. Those are like the drugs you would use essentially like, you know, like with the emergency FDA approval. It's the last ditch effort. And they're a lot more scary in my opinion, based on the science, right? Like this is like more like just like how the cells are built and like all these like DNA things. Those are a lot more experimental than having a piece of protein from the virus injected into your body. Like, cause those essentially is like, it's like antibodies that they've like lab created. So you don't know how like genuinely effective it is in the sense of like how well can it mesh with my body versus like, well, my body's creating its own antibodies based on this protein. Because like if you think about it, every other vaccine, everyone has gotten, besides those who like just reject vaccines altogether. It's a different group of people. It's like you're doing something very fundamentally similar. Like you're giving your body something that will then build antibodies towards, which will protect you. So it's like, how much more different is the COVID vaccine really compared to like the smallpox vaccine, the TB test, like all these other, like the flu vaccine.
Those people that are like that probably never thought they'd get it or something, you know?
I mean, yeah, it's like the idea that I'm safe, and if I could be safe, then I'm safe. But like, it's one of those things where like this is a serious problem, and it blows my mind that people don't think it's real, which is unfortunate, right? I feel more unfortunate towards that thinking than I do angry, because I think everyone is like just imperfect to some degree. Not to say that we can't strive to be better, just to say that we are broken. Like we are somewhat, like trying to figure ourselves out. Like our whole life essentially is trying to figure yourself out.
Yeah, it does. It definitely gets me just in general when people use the phrase like, oh, I don't understand how anyone could think blank. Because to me, that means you didn't try hard enough. If you cannot possibly fathom that this person thinks something that you don't agree with, then that's, I believe it is laziness either intellectually, which means I do not want to go through the logic and the mental processing of seeing what this other person is thinking and calculating the facts in the way that they are. Or if not intellectual laziness, then it's emotional laziness where you're like, I cannot possibly be bothered to undergo the immense discomfort that is empathizing with someone I disagree with. Like that is so horrific to me that I'm just not even going to try.
Yeah.
So
it's just those people that are like, I can't imagine how you had that thought.
Exactly. That gets me, and it happens all the time.
Disagreeing with that person is fine.
Disagreeing is totally fine.
Yeah, disagreeing is part of life, man.
Yeah.
Like it just it exists all the time.
But like that's what happens all the time on the internet, of course, obviously. But I wrote a blog post from my blog,
the Guilty Writers blog, right?
Yes, the Guilty
Check that out.
Yes, check that out. Say it one more time. Guilty witness.
At www. No,
Yeah.
I missed one. I missed a W.
I wrote. You say two W's. Everyone's so confused. Crashing down.
I'm not going there. What's going on?
Yeah. So I wrote a post for the blog. I put it up on Instagram, and one of my family members,
Dude, I saw that.
freaking like coming at me for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, dude, you're literally an adult. You're literally a father. You own a home. You're like more than a decade older than me. Use your words. Be a big boy. Tell me what you disagree with. And he's using freaking like emojis to respond to me. Not even emojis plural as in different types. Like he used the one sleeping snooze emoji 3 times. Like he did not even have the courtesy to create a creative chain of emojis. Just use the same one 3 times. I'm like, dude, what the hell? Again, just like what we were saying before, it's okay that you disagree with me, but prove to me that you actually hear me out and you're actually using your brain to process what my points are and then build something constructive off that. Don't just like spew your BS comments at me and then keep on moving, because that's being a child.
Yeah.
Was it that comment where it was just like, so what, or something like that?
Yeah. And that's a fun. So it was about like the Emmys happened and then there were no actors of color who won an award, and he's, you know, and I repost, I think NBC did an article about it, so I just reposted that news headline. And then he's like, so what? So what does it mean? And then he said
like,
something like...
He was like, live your life and just enjoy it, or whatever. He's like, well, who cares?
That's the point he got to.
Yeah.
But before that, he's
something
like, if you're always talking about race, then guess what? You're the racist. And in my head, I'm like, first of all, I'm glad you're operating with a 2nd grade level understanding of what racism is. You just say the word race, and I guess that's racist.
The transitive property.
The transitive property of race, yes. But then on top of that, like... So you're coming on to this post, you are literally implying that I am racist, and then when I very clearly spell out logically, not coming at you, giving you shit, like I was just logically saying, this is my point of view on the matter, this is why I think it matters. And then he responded with this like hand wavy, oh, well, life is good, you know, chill out, stop being so angry. He told me to stop being so angry after calling me a racist with 4 exclamation points.
I didn't see that.
No, man, chill out. I'm like, what the hell? I think it's because Instagram blocked it.
Oh, really?
Or
because
I made sure I didn't delete it, because I don't want, like to your point before, I don't want to delete those kinds of things. I think that's part of the conversation.
Yeah,
exactly. But I do think Instagram just like, you know, click this if you want to see certain.
Yeah, they block Instagram blocks certain comments because it's like they're
immediately. Like,
I've like had a conversation with someone about like about ACAB, right? Because I think like for me personally,
ACAB?
Yeah, huh?
The ACAB? What is
like
it?
The ACAB campaign? All cops are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I wanted a bad word.
Boys? Is that
word? No, but no, I like. Yeah. And then for me, I fundamentally disagree on like a larger scale where it's like, I don't like to blanket statement. I will blanket statement. I will still make a mistake. Like, you know, I'm human. Come on. But like. I try my best. Like I live my life trying my best not to blanket statement, because I don't think it's fair to each individual, because like we're all 3-dimensional beings. Like we can't be 2-dimensional. Like I don't know, Blue Yeti, right? And you're like, no, sure is so much better, and you're like fighting me for it, and then suddenly I'm Blue Yeti, man. Like no, like I'm not the sum of your just the Blue Yeti. Yeah, like my whole identity is not Blue Yeti. Come on,
whatever it is.
Yeah. And so like that was my disagreement with him, but Instagram would like refuse to post some of my comments, depending on like what I wrote. Yeah. Wow. So I think like when I wrote like ACAB out, it just like didn't allow it to go through.
Oh really? It blocks ACAB.
So it just blocks specific keywords.
Yeah, no, like I wrote all cops. Like I wrote it out. Like I didn't write the acronym. I wrote it out, and then like that last word, they were like, no, like that's not. Okay.
Oh, the last
you
word.
got an asterisk.
Yeah, you got an asterisk.
Asterisk the whole thing out.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I don't know, maybe the person I was like just like conversing with was just like, and this was a couple years back. I don't remember specifically when. This is when I cared enough to argue with someone online.
Yeah.
Like
we still argue occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally. Like I think for me it's more like it's not that the emotional spend is not worth it. I think it's like, come on, like keyboard warriors, like you're not gonna get anywhere with anyone over a keyboard. Like until you talk with them face to face.
I think we won though.
Huh?
Right?
Oh my gosh.
I think we won.
Yeah. No, it was so funny because so many people.
We did. We shut him down. He was just like starting to say more and more stupid things because he realized that he was being dumb. So
Yeah.
I know
that's a win.
your friend kind of came in and took it from me, and I stepped back after a while. I'm like, that was enough emotional energy spent, and then you had someone come in.
We had a whole army come in and back.
Yeah, we
you
had the
up,
cavalry.
so it was good.
Yeah.
So shouts to those people.
I'm curious. What do you normally do when like those people? I mean, obviously we didn't know this dude, right? He was just some random guy.
No, it was a burner account.
Yeah, it was some burner account, whatever, right?
He had no followers or anything.
But it's like, what happened? Like, how do you have constructive conversation with like family members and stuff and people that you gotta see again? It's like kind of weird sometimes, right? Because you don't want to like burn bridges and stuff like that with family members.
gosh,
Like, you can't do that, right?
I had that once.
Really?
Yeah. I was talking about the Hong Kong riots.
Oh, really?
Oh boy.
With
go.
so like
it's
my
so bad
dad's.
because you have to see them again, right? It, like
I
it's
haven't
like
seen her
these things-
since.
No.
No,
really?
but she lives in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. So that's it makes it a little easier.
Yeah,
But if
man.
it's like people that are close by, it's like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
Like, next time I see you, it's like weird.
It is a little easier, I guess, if they're halfway around the world.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Easier.
But what happened? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was just I was just saying like I can understand like I won't ever condone like extreme violence, but I can understand the unrest, right? Essentially like you gave these people freedoms for so long, and then suddenly like you're just absorbing, like, you know, this city that operates based off of like free speech and like just freedoms, like personal and like God-given liberties and freedoms, right? And then suddenly you're just like, you're saying, no, we're going to extradite like any criminals like to the depths of like the Chinese prisons, right? And like what they do with the Uyghurs, for example. And so I fundamentally disagree with those. And I was just saying like, I don't agree with the way that China is trying to like go about it, or specifically Xi Jinping, right? Like their leader. And yeah, they're going crazy right now. Like they're arresting all these like tech tycoons, and they're just essentially like collapsing their capitalist system. They allowed these like these large companies to kind of run rampant, like building buildings everywhere in China and like destroying towns and villages and historical landmarks. And suddenly they're like, yeah, like if you're in debt, like sucks for you. We're not going to bail you out. Like that's your fault.
I want to cut you off real quick just so we can reset the gear here.
Oh yeah, sounds good.
And then picking it up right where you left off.
Yeah.
Come back.
We'll see you guys in a sec.
All right. So jumping back in, I cut you off mid anecdote.
Conversation.
Oh, mid anecdote. Oh yeah, my
Hong Kong riots. Is that what?
Yeah, the Hong Kong riots. And so I was just
specifically Hong Kong, or is it?
No, this is like, I mean, I think Xi Jinping is trying to reestablish dominance of like the Communist Party, because like after a while, like they became a capitalist country, really, just with like a communist agenda. And yeah, it's just not great. And I'm not gonna like speak like too much more about it, just because I haven't read up enough for me to feel comfortable to be like I'm an expert on this topic.
The only thing that I've read one piece about this, and it was a Jackie Chan related thing, where like people of Hong Kong don't like Jackie Chan anymore or something like that because he's with the government.
Yeah.
And he's like told many people to like stop rioting or stop protesting and stuff like that, and like, you know, trust in your government and whatever. So a lot of the people there don't like him or whatever. They like his movies. They just don't like Jackie Chan and what he stands for. It's like very weird.
It's low key like a very Confucian like way of thinking.
Yeah,
it's just respect the system. Essentially, is what it boils down to.
Yeah. And there was like this whole like debate, and you know they were like, oh, Jackie Chan was always on the side of like the people or whatever, but then I don't know, he played a cop in a lot of different films and stuff like that, and it seemed like he was always on that side, you know, and people just misinterpreted that. But
and like his actual political statements, definitely he was more, you know, ready to criticize the government there, but then eventually he got to this point where he is pretty much pro Beijing. I think he's on some sort of cultural councils or something like that as well for the government there. Yeah. So there's not my favorite Jackie Chan side, but we keep talking about his kicks and stuff, you know.
Yeah, just talk about the movies he's making.
Just talk about that one interview he had where he's like, every time people see me, they go like, Jackie Chan.
Yeah, Jackie Chan.
Yeah. And then it's like, why not like Robert De Niro? Every time I see him, I was like, wow, that's Robert De Niro.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, like Robert De Niro. Yeah. So I thought that interview was like especially hilarious. Yeah.
He's like so unintentionally funny, or is he like just?
I think it is super unintentional because like he was on, I forget which radio show, but it was like a rap station, and they're like, yeah, Jackie, who's your favorite Wu-Tang member?
Yeah.
Wu-Tang? What's a Wu-Tang?
No, they there was a show where they asked him who's your favorite Kardashian, and he was like, "Who is this? You speaking English?"
Yeah.
And he was like, I was just, and then the comment section was like, "How dare you insult a legend like Jackie Chan with such a question about the Kardashians?"
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me say this. I respect the business mogul dynasty that is the Kardashian clan.
Yeah.
Clan not spelled with a K. Kardashian and then clan with a C.
Yeah.
Because, we all know what happened to the Krispy Kreme Club.
What do you mean?
So the Krispy Kreme donut shop,
Yeah.
they had some kind of returning member service, whatever.
Mhm.
They called it the Krispy Kreme Club, but because Krispy Kreme is spelled with K's, they said, "Oh, we'll also spell the word club with a K."
Oh
And then
no!
there was a PR nightmare.
Oh
for
my
that.
God.
I did
Gosh.
not know
That
about
was a
that.
long time.
I did not know about
Yeah, so it's
that.
not around anymore.
Part of the KKK.
Yeah. Card carrying member.
Wait, and
Oh.
then nobody on their team
I guess
vetted
no one
that?
put it together.
Dude,
Someone
that's
on
crazy.
PR?
You have like all these people vetting it, and you can't even see like
Somebody-
KKK and be like, "That's a no."
Somebody
I
on
don't know.
PR got fired.
Yeah.
Somebody on PR got fired.
But
yeah.
they had a good laugh before they got
Yeah,
fired.
before they got fired. They definitely did that before they quit. They put it in their 2 weeks notice.
Yeah.
Like I swear.
He's like,
swear.
"You can fire me. You know what?
Yeah,
I
I don't
understand.
care.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry."
Maybe they wanted that severance package. They
Yeah.
were really looking
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
true.
You didn't let me be part of the club, so I'm just gonna
Yeah.
name it the KKK.
They're gonna ask at his next job and be like, "Yo, what got you fired?" And he's gonna be like, "Yeah, well,
Played prank.
remember that KKK thing with Krispy Kreme? That was me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Wendy's hired him.
yeah.
The Wendy's Twitter team.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna try to think about a joke about that.
Yeah. Or there was I think like the White House back when the war on terror started or whatever,
Mhm.
they're like, "No, this is not for economic gain. This is because it's the right thing to do and justice. We're calling this," I think it was something like Operation Iran Liberation or something like that. And then afterwards they're like, "Dude, the acronym for that is oil. What?" And then they had to change
Oh
it.
wow!
Yeah.
And then they hit Kuwait, and it all made
Operation.
sense.
Yeah.
It all made
Well, there's
sense.
no K in oil, so
Yeah, I know.
that was okay.
But
Okay.
Kuwait is one of the, I think, one of the oil-rich nations.
Mhm.
If I'm not wrong. Yeah. Watch me be completely.
We're
wrong.
drunk driving all over this thing.
Yeah, nobody flame me,
Wait, how does
please.
that connect to that again?
Because like the argument is that us going into different.
I'm just making a joke about Richard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
sorry.
Okay.
It's okay. I did the same thing
My
last time.
bad.
Was it 1917 or was it Christopher
1918.
What did I got confused with Dunkirk, so it was like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
weirdest thing.
That's understandable though. Like,
Yeah,
those
yeah,
are-
they both like the same movie. Nah.
There's only like three
No,
stories. right?
not really though. 1918 is in 1918, and Dunkirk was in something
I
else.
thought it was
I think it
1917.
1917.
1917. Yeah.
Oh, I confused Darren. I confused Darren.
myself,
by
dude.
Christopher
Oh my
Nolan,
gosh.
by all these different.
1917 was a different time period because I remember they didn't even have planes.
That's World
and
War
stuff,
One, right? 1917.
Yeah.
I think they had planes. 1917.
Right.
They-
not
they-
in that movie though. It wasn't like the planes, the ships, and stuff like that. It was like a whole different movie.
I'm very confused.
Yeah. I'm just saying that it took place in like wartime, but it was like a totally different film, like Dunkirk in 1917.
Oh, okay.
That's my point.
okay. I see what
Sorry,
you're
yeah. I
saying,
mean, that's really
Was
confusing.
Dunkirk World War II?
I'm not sure if it was a different time period. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm like,
I want to say
I'm
Dunkirk
unsure.
was World War II. I know it
pretty
was based
sure.
on a real event where they had a lot of civilians coming in and helping with
Yeah,
civilian
I'm pretty sure that
ships
was
and
World War
stuff
II.
like that.
It was the
I believe
evacuation
that's
from
correct.
France.
okay, yes. Dunkirk was World War II.
Yeah.
Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah, I'm new Jamie. I'm pulling things
Yeah.
up right here.
I
And,
really studied the world histories for World War I and World War II. I don't know why. It was really interesting to see like all these different nations like coming together, not for a great cause, but coming together. Yeah, it's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good song. Good song.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anyways, yeah. I mean, anything else we want to touch on? I think we're running almost to the end here.
Yeah.
Are we?
Almost, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like 30 minutes, and then we have like 7 right now. It says on the
Yeah.
clock.
How long are we trying to go for?
I thought we were going for like an hour,
Are we going for an hour?
Amateur
Is that what
hour.
we're doing?
right?
Darren's trying
That's
to.
true. The name is amateur.
Yeah.
So it is like a
Amateur
betrayal
hour.
of
That's
the
what people
premise
are
here.
expecting, right?
Yeah, Darren's trying to live up to the namesake.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's the amateur 3/4 hour now.
Amateur 37 minutes.
Well, yeah, the name changes every episode.
Yep.
The 37-minute cast.
Yeah. 128 hours.
127 hours.
Oh, it was 127 hours. Oh, my bad. It was 128.
Don't put numbers in your titles, all right? We're not gonna get it right. Don't put like an arbitrary year in your movie title. Don't just pick a random number of dollars.
1356.
Yeah.
remember that song, Jenny?
I have no idea. No.
Like who do I turn to? And then it's like the number, and it's like the actual number in the song, but then everyone remembers that number.
No.
I don't remember the number.
Wait,
No
I
way.
believe you though.
Blade Runner. Was it Blade Runner
2049.
2049?
Oh, I don't even remember.
I don't even remember that, yeah.
What was the
I
first
just
Blade
watched
Runner?
it.
Just Blade Runner?
There's a Blade Runner.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
Okay, and then 2049.
Blade Runner, the final cut.
Oh,
is
speaking of
definitely-
Blade Runner, Dune's coming out, dude.
Dune is
That's
coming
looking
out.
like crazy, man. We interviewed the guy from the action, I think, designer now for Dune, right?
V-Dan, is it?
V-Dan.
V-Dan is, right?
And I know Tom Struthers is also doing Dune too, so
Yeah, deep cuts. No one here knows who those people are. But
Yeah,
we
yeah.
interviewed them. They're
yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta check out AFD. That's an AFD plug right there.
Yeah, check out Action Filmmaking Decoded. Their podcast about action filmmaking. They interviewed two of the people who worked on Shang-Chi, right?
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Three
I've
of the
been
people-
I've been
three
pushing it
people now.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Because like people have been like talking to me about Shang-Chi because they saw that I watched it like twice, low key.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I
did
watched
too,
it
actually.
twice.
I,
No
saw, I
way,
went back.
wow.
I brought my brother to see a movie, and he wanted
Okay.
to see that.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I went with a couple of friends, and then they were like, "Oh, we're gonna watch Shang-Chi." I was like, "Yeah, I'll watch it." I was like, "I'll watch it again."
Yeah. So how was it the second time?
I noticed a lot more.
Dude, I wanted to go back and rewatch those fight scenes in just like slow motion.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they're not on YouTube yet. A lot of them.
I know,
Only
right?
A couple of them are.
Yeah, normally some dude will like rip them by now and just put
Yeah.
them on YouTube.
That could be us.
Oh yeah. The Action Filmmaking Decoded podcast. Now the YouTube channel releases content that's
bootleg content.
bootleg
It's just
content, yeah.
demonetized.
Yeah.
Scott Adkins is gonna come back on and be like, "What the fuck did this turn
Oh,
into?"
yeah, Scott Adkins, action movie legend, does not like you posting his stuff on YouTube.
Yeah. He's like, to support your fellow actors, your fellow filmmakers, you should pay for their content. Like that's the whole deal. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
But yeah, I was asking about how was it the second time?
Yeah,
What'd you catch?
I think I noticed that the subtitles. I think first time I watched it, I was like, the subtitles are wrong, right? Just like flat out, the subtitles are wrong.
Yeah.
But then when I watched it the second time, I think the biggest thing that I noticed was that the subtitles weren't wrong. It's just hard to translate. There's like idioms when they speak in Mandarin.
I think that I sent you that reel. Right?
Yeah,
Where it was
that
like-
they can't. That there's no equivalent in English besides just the simplest way of putting some of the words. I'm trying to like speak in a way where I don't ruin it for you guys
Yeah,
who haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
but you can even say some of the lines right in there.
Yeah, I guess like one of the shortest shorter lines
about
where
rice, right? Wasn't there something?
yeah, there's also another line where like I guess this one won't ruin anything because you'll notice it. But essentially they say like one of the characters, I'm not gonna say who, says I'm here, in Chinese. So 我来了, right? I'm here, and then the translation was I'm here, my love, and I'm like what? What? Where did the my love come from?
That's those Hollywood studios coming in and being like, "No, we need to
add that in, to
Yeah.
spice it up. No, but like if you just said I'm here, I think even in English it would be more impactful than adding those two extra words in the scene that it's in. And the other one was like I've lived I've eaten more salt than you've like eaten rice.
Mm.
And they translated it and they had like 1,000 years in there somewhere, and I was like, what? But then I could understand it because like the idea is that it's like I've lived longer than you.
Dude,
the
they did
main
something
idea.
similar with Aquafina's film, right?
With the farewell.
With the farewell.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know.
I think
for like localizing
yeah,
translations.
my mom was like watching it and she was telling me that some of those translations were incorrect.
They weren't.
too.
Yeah, they weren't super
Yeah,
accurate, which is
yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean
They
that's
get
part of the course
close-ish.
though. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have to do that. You see that in video games all the time. A lot of because Japan makes such great games all the time, and then you have
Yeah.
nerds like us trying to
Anime
import them.
translation, manga
Yeah,
translation.
exactly.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it doesn't always because there's not just literal translation differences. It's just culturally it doesn't work.
Yeah.
They'll reference some Japanese folklore that it's obvious to everyone, but you bring it over to the States and it's not going to make any sense.
There
They put parentheses.
there was
They
this
put
thing that I
parentheses. They
saw.
say, by the way, this is like a Japanese like thing, and they'll be like, this is a
Yeah.
folklore.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
Dude, there was this
Star
thing
Wars
that I
Call.
saw actually on YouTube, and it was like an anime, and it was just getting like translated to English. It was a dub, right? And they actually did like almost a direct translation, but it was just so weird because the characters were like in this really romantic setting, and the things that this guy was saying were just so off. And I think it turned into a meme, that like one little bit from that anime.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I forget what it was, but I
Was it
I
Neon
remember watching it.
Genesis?
I don't know. I don't really know.
Okay. Was it like a hot tub situation or?
It might have been. I know it's just this guy and this girl, and then he said something to her.
Oh, and okay, never mind.
Yeah, and then like she reacted in a totally different way than what the line was meant to make. It was like weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that when there's like fan subs for Chinese animes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like,
Yeah.
what is going on? Like genuinely, what is going on? Yeah.
Is it weird when you can understand the language, but then the subtitles are in a different language, but you can understand both of them?
It's
Oh yeah.
it's
that was-
weird.
My girlfriend Leslie, she speaks Spanish and English, and then she told me like she's watching this thing in Spanish, and then seeing the English subtitles, and it's like really like messing with her brain. It's like weird because she's just like, oh my god, now I'm like, I don't even know what they're really saying anymore because it's just like two dialogue tracks on top of each other almost, and that's what it looks like. And they're like talking over each other, to her at least.
Yeah. It's like you repeated the English twice, but
Yeah,
then, like
yeah,
in different
exactly.
ways.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
I really need. It's like different translations almost. No.
Yeah.
I think actually for me it adds flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm able to kind of like hear and see both, and understand both. I will say like I've seen like Chinese dramas before, like C dramas, where if it's like based in like the Dynasty era, they'll have like Chinese phrases that I know that even like people who speak fluent Mandarin would be like, what are they saying? Like, what are they saying? So in those C dramas, they would actually have Chinese subtitles, which is the funniest thing because it's like it's in Chinese,
Yeah.
but you need Chinese to understand the Chinese,
Yeah.
because they're speaking in like in a very what's it called, like a very like ancient like Chinese way.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's not super ancient, but they're speaking in like in almost
Like a dialect kind of thing?
yeah, not a dialect, more like a poetic way.
Okay.
It's almost like they're speaking as if they were like you know how like like when you read Shakespearean like plays, you're kind of like some of it is just like, wait, I need to like pause and think about like how they wrote it and what
Mhm.
this actually means, because it's like it's poised differently and the grammar sometimes is kind of weird. And that's the same thing with like the Chinese.
Yeah.
So like when I watch like regular like items where I understand, so for example like Shang-Chi, like where I understand both, I actually think I rely on both, and they don't like conflict in my head, which is nice because like I think growing up speaking Chinglish helps a lot because I'm constantly translating like that in my head,
Yeah.
and I'm constantly like switching
You
languages
call,
as fast as I
and
can.
then, and then you go just say the English word in a like a
Yeah.
Asian accent.
Yeah. So like I'll be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I watched the film Shang-Chi,
Yeah.
and it was really good. So it's like that
Yeah,
switch
yeah,
in my
yeah.
head, right? My friends and also like my cousins from Hong Kong, like China, they've actually said like it's the weirdest thing, like when they first when they have to do like that switch in translation.
Mhm.
If like they're like, if you're speaking to me in Chinese, speak to me in Chinese. If you're speaking to me in English, speak to me in English. Because they learned both. They learned Mandarin, Cantonese, and English back when they're in Hong Kong. Because they went to like international school. So it's like they knew all the languages coming into the U.S. But it was just like, yeah, like for them, they're like, no, there's a hard cutoff. Like you do this or you do that. Like you can't do both. And then for me, it's like I'll switch and like change and like.
I mean, as long as those people kind of understand, it's fine, right?
Yeah, no, like he says it's tiring
Yeah.
when I speak to him in Chinglish. Speak to
Yeah.
him in Chinglish. I remember him telling me that once, and I was like, I'm so sorry.
Oh, really? And he's just like, oh.
Yeah, he's like, the steam is rising from my brain.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how you said the pronunciation of Shang-Chi because everyone's saying like Shang-Chi. I
Yeah.
feel like, and then they say Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi. Yeah. Shang-Chi. Yeah. And then that's how it's like supposed to be said, right?
Yeah.
But then, yeah, they had that scene in the movie too
Yeah,
where
on the
like
airplane.
they had to actually like teach people how it was said because it's like we want you to say it the right way and we want you to know, right? So I think that was really really important too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
definitely
funny how you
think.
said that.
Yeah, it was so funny because I was actually talking to my pastor about Shang-Chi like today
Yeah.
after I was at church before
Yeah.
after church, and he goes like, so after fellowship he goes like, yeah, so like it's so different because when you understand the Mandarin, like there's like this huge like undertone of like certain things, right? Like almost like a theme that kind of plays throughout. But when you don't understand it, you're just like you lose it all. And because like not the, is he the protagonist? No, not the protagonist. The villain in the movie.
Tony Leung.
The
Yeah.
antagonist.
Am I allowed to say?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I guess
Wenwu?
no.
Yeah.
Everyone knows. Yeah, everyone
Yeah,
knows.
yeah.
Tony. Yeah. So like when he plays his character, he does it in such an emotional manner, and you
Yeah.
have to kind of read between the lines.
Mhm.
But you can't just like like his emotion is great, but you can't just read the emotion in his face. You also need to understand the language that he's using and the way that he's using the language to communicate like that theme throughout the movie.
Yeah.
But then he was like, it's so sad because the rest of it was flat. So while his
Yeah.
performance was amazing, everything else was flat.
Really?
And then, like he was just like saying
Yeah.
like they couldn't support like what Tony was trying to do,
Oh,
like in his role,
he was too good.
like to try to bring in like that.
I saw way too many
themes.
reels of like people crushing over Tony and then not Simu. It was like weird. It was like oh yeah, who are you attracted to? And it was just like
Tony.
Of course, yeah, right. It's definitely Simu Liu, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he's like, definitely not. And then the whole
the
Tony Liu.
conventionally attractive man.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, but I
Super
saw like 7 different versions of that at that point.
Oh, I just rewatched
Crazy.
In the Mood for Love with him.
Yeah,
And it is
so
crazy to
good.
think that that's the same person. Between it being a different age, a different setting, a different universe. In the Mood for
I
Love,
mean,
like
he
this
looks pretty young
artsy,
still too. Yeah,
Yeah, he does. It's also just weird hearing him go from Chinese in that film to speaking English
I know.
mostly
He
in
sounds
Shang-Chi.
like some like old like white British guy. I don't know why. It was
Yeah,
just like weird.
That's another
Yeah.
thing that I always say about Crazy Rich Asians is like people are saying, oh, it's making Asian people sexy for the first time in a long time in
Yeah.
Hollywood, mainstream, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but if they spoke English with with like a Chinese accent
Yeah.
instead of a British, Queen's English accent,
Yeah.
would you have had the same reaction?
yeah.
No,
And
completely
it's like,
agree
not
with
trying to
that.
throw shade at anything, just bringing up the point.
Yeah, I know.
That would
Henry
be totally different
Golding
to
was
people.
speaking in like a really, really heavy Asian accent.
Yeah, and
Would it have worked?
yeah, like
They
if
said
Gemma
Vietnamese.
Chan
Right.
was speaking in like super heavily like accented English,
Yeah.
would you have found her like to be this elegant queen?
Right,
Like
right.
yeah, it's super questionable.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy because they remember they said like Vietnamese was like the most sexy Asian accent or something. They did like a poll or something and they were like Vietnamese is like the most like sexy Asian accent or something like that, and I was just like, that's hilarious because there were so many TikToks after that where people were speaking like super heavy Vietnamese accents.
Nice.
Yeah. But sorry, what were you saying?
oh no, I was
Yeah.
just gonna say like yeah, like when you see like internet personalities like Uncle Roger.
Yeah, Uncle
For example,
Roger.
Uncle Roger. Think this fried
That's the
rice
sexiest
stupid.
accent
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there,
like,
guys.
Man
Come
Alive.
on.
Yeah, seriously, come on.
That guy is a sexy.
Show some love for Uncle Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want a whole movie with the protagonist speaking like Uncle Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think his is more satirical than anything.
It
else.
is, though. Yeah.
And it's funny because he actually has a British English accent.
Oh yeah, he does. Like
Yeah.
his real voice, right?
Yeah, his like
yeah.
actual like accent is like British English, which is
Yeah.
the funniest thing.
Yeah.
I need to see this. Everything I know about him is just from you guys doing like impressions.
His
Yeah.
impressions, oh my
But you don't know what he looks
I
like.
don't know,
You don't know anything
actually
about
what
him.
he sounds like.
Yeah.
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 I will say for Shang-Chi, my one problem with it was
has a lot of
Tony
problems with it.
Leung's. I mean, there's not a lot of problems. It's just like the one thing I feel like the whole movie is predicated on, oh man, Shang-Chi has to reconcile with his father and be
Yeah.
like, oh, he did these bad things, but there's also good things to him, and he has to bring like his mom's side and his dad's side together. But we never really see Tony Leung's character, the bad guy, the father, do gnarly stuff. Like everything he does is super cool, but justified. Pretty much from front to back. So
Yeah,
I'm never
it's
like,
that
wow,
curse,
he's so
right,
scary.
It's like that curse of like, trying to relate to the villain too much, right?
They did it too. I think they
With
played it a little
Killmonger,
too
right?
safe. Yeah,
They tried to do it with Killmonger a little bit, but then like he did do some pretty bad stuff though. Like he,
yeah.
like, stabbed
Killmonger
the
wound up
freaking
doing
dude,
something.
you know?
Where you're like, okay, that is too far, and that was another pitfall there. I think because Killmonger's like, they're like, yeah, we need to do something though where he's still a bad guy clearly. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, he kind of made a logical leap there. Like, why
Yeah.
would he go take his bad guy motives that far to?
So you think it
an
was too
unrealistic-
much?
Yeah, or at least I think that was the right move overall. But
Mhm.
that was a hard one to square with Killmonger. How do we make him still a villain for this real world nuanced issue?
Mhm.
That was really hard to do.
I mean, he just wants to change the kingdom, right? He wants to change Wakanda, right?
Not
Like,
just
he wants to
Wakanda.
own it,
They're like he wants to
too.
send
And-
weapons
and
all around
send
the
it.
world for like free range, so people
Yeah.
could for in his mind kill their oppressors. But everyone else is like,
Mhm.
that's not how things work. If you just send weapons
Mm.
everywhere, like that's gonna be
Okay.
bad.
Yeah. I do remember that now.
So it's like he's this brilliant tactician mercenary, but also he just wants to put weapons everywhere, and he thinks that's a good idea. Like,
yeah.
I mean, because
So it didn't really follow his character line.
was
as
it to
well.
sleeper?
Yeah, it was to
Just
sleeper agents. Yeah, I think it was like he was gonna send the weapons to sleeper agents. And then the sleeper agents were gonna rise up and like kind of like proclaim, because like the idea was like to make Wakanda known and be
Okay.
feared and revered by like the general public. I don't know why I just made it sound so sad, like the general
Yeah,
public. That's
yeah.
it. Like I didn't make it the world. Like I just said the
Yeah.
general public.
Then all the bloggers were like, "Man, Killmonger was right. Here's my edgy, subversive blog about social issues and Marvel movies."
Yeah.
I do that too.
Yeah. I was like, are you talking about yourself? But yeah.
I did enjoy both movies. Though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
those
did.
were really
I
good.
did.
Both great.
But Killmonger, man, oh man, I related to the villains in both movies. I was just like, oh, the
Yeah,
villains were so
it was
good.
good.
Killmonger was a great villain.
Yeah, I know what they're trying to do. Hopefully
Yeah.
they set up, Simu Liu's character, and they build him more in the future.
Yeah.
Because it did feel like there's more to come,
Oh,
like
yeah,
with how the movie kind of went. So,
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him in the entire Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also excited to see Doctor Strange too.
Oh yeah, dude. Sam Raimi.
dude.
That's what I was saying.
Go.
Sam
Crazy.
I
I'm
just
excited because
rewatched the Spider-Man
he hasn't come back since, right? Or what has he been doing?
He's been
since?
doing like producing and stuff like that. I think he was
Okay.
attached to Don't Breathe or Don't Breathe 2
Oh,
in
okay.
more of a producer role. for a
Yeah,
lot
he
of
has a very like realistic, like rounded sort of way of filming. I feel like it
yeah,
feels
a lot of
different.
practical effects.
Yeah, a lot of
It
practical
does.
effects. Yeah,
It kind of reminds me of Edgar Wright, where you're like,
old Spider-Man.
it is kind of
movies.
over the top. There's comedy, but there's a lot of personality. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can tell immediately without knowing who it is, you'll know who it is.
Yeah.
He added that Tobey Maguire dancing scene. Like, dude, that was the personality that I was looking
was
for.
it. That was
Honestly, like I'm.
So memeable. I mean, filmmakers are so like, I don't know. I feel like they don't take risks the same way nowadays, and I feel like they don't go for those like kind of weird jokes or like whatever. But I feel like Sam Raimi took a lot of those risks, I
He
guess,
did,
in
'cause
his storytelling.
That is what made those movies great. Is he was confident enough, and he also kind of lucked out, or maybe the
Mhm.
producers were great because everyone on that team seemed to know exactly
What
what,
he was
the
looking for.
character was
Yeah,
and what
yeah.
he was looking for. Yeah, he's like, certain things didn't make sense about those Spider-Man movies, like
Yeah,
the way his mask connects to his suit and stuff does not make any sense.
yeah.
But do people care? Is that
How
what
the
the
web
character
comes
No.
out. Like a different way. I think V-Dad explained that a little bit. but
Yeah, yeah. In the comics, he had like a mechanical web shooter, but in
Yeah.
those movies,
He had it like biologically.
and
like,
it was
built
like
into him.
inside
Yeah.
like his wrist. So.
which is kind of gross. It's really
yeah.
weird. There's one scene where it's like slowly letting Mary Jane down from a web that's coming out of his wrist. I'm like, that is
I never really
nightmare
thought
fuel.
about that.
That's horrific.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about how that attaches to his body, but
Yeah.
they're great movies.
Yeah, they
and just
definitely
the
did.
fact that they make Peter Parker, he's not the cool Mark Webb, Andrew Garfield, like, I'm a cool hipster skateboarder Peter Parker. And he's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Tom Holland, where it's like, I'm super charming and quirky, but also nerdy
Yeah,
and
yeah.
likable Spider-Man. It's like,
He didn't really have any of that. He was just
yeah, like Tobey
Yeah.
Maguire's Spider-Man, you can tell why people don't really want to be friends with him. Like, the
Yeah.
reason why he's so memeable is because he's awkward and weird and off-putting the way Peter Parker would be in
Yeah.
real life. And that's
and they're
part
like,
of what
ew, and then
those
he puts
movies
on the
are-
mask,
those
and then he
movies.
goes out, and everyone's like, "We love you."
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I
You
like
gotta
him. I
love
could talk about
Tobey
them all day.
Maguire's Spider-Man. I mean, the audiences love him.
Yeah.
Maybe the movie.
Maybe they'll make a multiverse. Seriously, I look.
I think we talked about this last time,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
We
really
just
want
talk about the same three topics over and over, like
Yeah.
Asians,
Shang-Chi.
Spider-Man,
Yeah, we need
Blade
to.
Runner. That's
We
it.
have a lot more to
Dude, there's
to
so
like
much-
talk about.
We just
more
refuse to
there.
talk about it.
Yeah, I think we're still caught up in the whole sphere of things.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still love Spider-Man. Just can't stop talking about Spider-Man.
He's great.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite. I think that's a good place to stop.
Yeah, I
here.
think we're
Yeah.
We promise we'll come up with some new topics. for
Yeah,
whatever the
sorry
next
guys,
episode
you
will
know.
be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're gonna end off with our word game here.
Okay.
Yeah, do you want to start us off this time, and then we'll go around to Darren and then me?
Sure. I'm gonna start off super simple. The
That's me. Okay. Man,
Is
very
hard.
because
Oh no.
he
You could have either done working or you could have done being something else and twisted it. I gave you two options.
oh my god,
I
we're
said
running out of
he.
time. Let's finish
I
this.
said he
Is
the
oh no.
rock.
just end it. That's it.
That's it. That's it, my guys.
Yeah. The man is very hard because he is the rock.
Oh my gosh.
That works. So he's
He's a rock
buff.
and he's hard.
buff.
Yeah.